What's poppin', yo? Welcome back to another YouTube video, and today we're taking a look at another horror movie, or a thriller movie. And this one is new to Netflix, one that I have seen advertised quite a bit, and one that I was actually recommended to me by my mum. She told me that this one looked good, and that I should watch it, and I also saw the trailer for it, and was going to watch it anyway, but watched it, and put it higher up on the watch list after my mum told me to watch it. Guess what? She never actually fucking watched this movie. She didn't watch it, she just told me that it looked good. So I took that as, oh, she watched it, this is a good movie. No, I misinterpreted, that's my fault, but still, the way she was on about how much it looked good, I thought she had already seen it. So when I went to talk to her about it, she was like, oh, I don't know what movie that is. I haven't heard of that movie in my entire fucking life. And I'm there thinking I'm fucking delusional when she was the one that fucking told me to watch it, and it's like, holy fucking shit. And I was having a fucking mental fucking jump rope because I was confused with if it was my mum that told me to watch this or not, and it was. I wasn't the fucking crazy one in this situation. So, without any further delay, let's take a look at what Google has to say, because I got way off topic there. This is a horror thriller which is 1 hour and 32 minutes. It came out in 2024. Has a 5.8 out of 10 on IMDb, which I think is incredibly low. And it has a 72% on Rotten Tomatoes, which I think is quite unfair. It is on Netflix, and that is the only place you can watch it. And when a killer interjects her with a paralytic agent, a woman must run, fight, and hide before her body completely shuts down. That is the first 10 minutes of this film. This movie opens up pretty fucking wildly and has a pretty big impact rather than some of the other movies that I've seen. It starts off with our main character staring at the roof with her boyfriend, husband in the bed with her. She gets up, gets ready for her run, and she leaves her phone. She leaves her phone on the side. They make sure to zoom in on that, and she leaves other things in the house, and it zooms in showing like, oh, shouldn't have this, shouldn't have that, shouldn't have this. This is made very apparent to us through the way the camera is shown. She then leaves, heads to a mountain, goes for a jog, runs up to this cliff, and is ready to take a massive swan dive, which will probably break her back and neck. She's then greeted by this guy having a picnic, who then has a nice lovely walk with her back down to the car, and then knocks her out, kidnaps her, puts her in the back of his car. She has been injected with this thing. She manages to free herself from her sort of tyings and gets her way out of the car and manages to run into the forest. After finding out that she's been injected with this thing, she has 20 minutes before her body fully shuts down. She runs throughout this entire forest and ends up in someone's backyard. And I thought this shit was wild because she fell through a river when her legs and arms didn't work. Which was, well, when her legs didn't work, which is fucking insane. That is not a fucking brilliant idea to do. She was running. I was, like, on fucking edge when she was running because the decision she was making was insane. She had, like, hiding in a log with, like, spiders and ants crawling on her face. One went up her nose. That made me freak the fuck out and made her scream as well and run. I hated that shit. I don't like it when things are crawling on me. That is grim and cringy. It's fucking awful. She was then running, like, whilst carrying one of her legs and, like, moving her legs with her arms to make herself walk, and I think that's a fucking awful decision when you're next to a running river. She ends up falling in the river, floating downstream, and going through rapids. She could have fucking drowned. She ends up making it to this dude's house who's lawn mowing. She almost gets herself lawn mowed over. He then takes her inside with a wheelbarrow, and then hides her from the dude. The dude then kills him, burns the house down, takes the girl, takes her on a drive. She tries her best to get help from a police officer, a little kid, a woman, and all of which either don't help or get murked by this dude. And he ends up taking her out into the river to kill her because he didn't get enough time with her because his family are going to come up to the log cabin to spend time with him instead. And in doing this, he injects him, slices his neck open, and throws him into the water. She is still struggling to move at this point and sinks with the boat, and she manages to regain control of her body and manage to swim to shore by the end of the movie, and she goes home. She does have flashbacks to a dead kid, and I'm pretty sure that's why she wanted to kill herself at the start of the movie, but that is basically a quick run through of the plot. I'm gonna be honest, this is an incredibly tense movie, and I fucking loved it. The absolute helplessness of the main character was such a good like plot point. It was obviously the main plot point of this movie, but her helplessness and her lack of sort of, bodily control of what she could and couldn't do was fucking huge. I don't know why there hasn't been more horror movies like this, because I think this was incredible. Fair enough, it did get or people could have seen this as boring because she didn't do a whole fucking lot. She just kind of laid there throughout the whole movie. But as she was slowly regaining control of her body, little bit by little bit, you was feeling little milestones being made and sort of very hopeful that she could earn her freedom and manage to get out. Get herself out, get herself to someone that can help. And every time things started to go in her direction, he found a way to sort of completely move her back to his path and move her back to his sort of trajectory and his sort of narrative that he was pushing. And she was so sort of helpless at the start of the movie, and there was so much tension and fear with the sort of main character hunting her and trying to find her in this old guy's house when she was hidden behind the TV, hidden behind the sofa, and how she used the blinds to try and get his attention before she burned to death was incredible. She had to give herself up to him, otherwise she would have died. And I know people are saying, oh, she wanted to die at the start of this movie, she was going to kill herself anyway. No, that is completely fucking different. She was going to do that of her own accord. She didn't want that shit happening to her by another guy. She wanted that to be her decision, her choice, her action, not someone else's. And that is a fucking awful argument as well. Oh, she wanted to die at the start of the movie. That doesn't mean you can do awful shit to somebody. That doesn't mean you can fucking drug them and then probably, have other dark plans later on down the line, which you all know what I'm thinking, what I'm talking about. We all know what this fucker was gonna do, which is fucking disgusting and awful. And I'm so glad that she got out. The relief you got at the end of the movie when she sort of came out of the ground, out of the water, it did feel very cheesy when she did come out the ground as oh yep, all her muscles worked, happy ending. And it did feel very stereotypical and not as creative as the rest of the movie was, but I'm still glad that she did make it out alive. I didn't want them to have her sink and drown. I felt like that would have been such a shitty ending for her, because she went through all that fucking trouble to save herself just to die in the end anyway. I think that would have been such an awful ending to the movie. It would have been a pretty powerful ending, but I think it would have been an awful ending at the same time. The acting, you know what, on the dude's part was kind of mediocre. It wasn't the best acting that I've seen out there, but to act as she acted, I feel like it'd be very hard to pretend to not be able to move or do anything. I feel like that would be quite hard, because some of the things that she was getting herself into, you move on habit. You would move on instinct, and to just lay there completely still and not do anything, or try and shift your weight in any way when being carried or moved around, would be very much near impossible. Have you ever tried to fake being asleep when you're a kid to get carried from the car to the house? Like that. You can't help but move and sort of help the person carrying you pick you up and move you about when you're conscious. So her acting to do that, I think, is a fucking incredible skill on her half. But I really liked the story, and I thought it was really fucking cool. The amount of tension built up throughout this movie was incredible. And that's what I'm hooked on. This movie was so much tension, and it built up in such a creative, unique way, which I haven't seen done by many other movies. Easily puts this a solid 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10 for me, because I've never seen a movie like this before. No one has used the sort of the inability to sort of control anything in a movie, or not that I've seen anyway. nothing springs to mind. Like, this seems to be the first of its concept, and genuinely, I was worried and on the edge of my seat for this entire movie. It was fucking great. And the situation she found herself in was very, very, like, scary. Like, this is real world scary type shit. This shit can happen. And like I said in previous horror movie videos, the horror movies that scare me most are the more realistic ones. No demons, no slashers, no horror movie serial killers type shit. This is the scariest thing because someone could come and drug you, and that is fucking terrifying. That is what I fear the most.